Shalom. Ubrezi Hawa Bashem Yahushua Bashem Harakakadash. Double honors to elder apostles, great most on room one. And Shalom to the brothers doing work, sharing truth, pushing his word to the four corners. Um, you got Trump once again, bringing the hammer down. And you had reports basically saying, it's on the New York Times, says U.S. military is preparing to deploy National Guard in D.C., officials say. It says what the deployment is part of the President Trump's crackdown on street crime in the city. So, you have the National Guard deployed in California, because of the immigration. The ICE officers going around, breaking down doors, gun button man in the forehead, suplexing, gal them into handcuffs, and then getting them the fuck out of the country. Get them out. That whole thing getting pushed, and the military being used to back it, and now you have it again. A different push being done, especially from the back of whatever Trump's policy is. It's now being normalized. It happened again. Then you got 2 points in the graph, and the third time you got pattern. So, the military basically being used to back, to back these policies being pushed through. So it says, you got the California National Guard. So it says the U.S. military is preparing to activate National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. as part of President Trump's crackdown on street crime in the city, a Defense Department official said on Monday. Mr. Trump had not approved any official deployment orders as of early Monday, but is expected to announce at a news conference at the White House that up to several hundred D.C. National Guardsmen will be sent to support law enforcement officers in the capital. The Defense Department official said, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss operational matters. No other details were available early Monday. So yeah, it's being utilized as a saying is to for the sake of defense. Because what does it say? I'll read on a bit more. It says, in a Truth Social post Monday morning, Mr. Trump said, "I will make our capital great again." Though crime rates in Washington, D.C. have been falling, Mr. Trump has claimed that they are totally out of control and has threatened a federal takeover. So yeah, it was whatever he's looking to do, even if the situation doesn't call for it, then he's just like, well, I'll follow through. I'm just gonna let it rip. Because it was similar with the unemployment numbers, where he sacked the broad that was doing the unemployment numbers, because you got shit unemployment numbers, and now they're saying, oh no, we're gonna get someone to do it properly and whatnot. So he basically just wants reality to bend. The what's the quote, the fucking Thanos quote, reality can be whatever I want. Man's got the reality stone out here, and he's just bending reality to to his desires, which bending reality to his desires, and that's a big part of what you call it, of what why this guy is really the guy for making these things happen. He's got the hubris, he's got the pride, and it's even if it's not that kind of a situation, it could he can push through and justify things to happen. Like, okay, yeah, you would think, what was it? I think it was the Haitians eating the pets, man. And I said, hey, Haitians out there eating man's like cats and dogs. But then, all that was verified was, man were taking like the ducks or the goose or whatever from parks and then just like fucking barbecuing that shit. Ah, shit. That's fucking funny. But this guy will let that shit rip anyway. Just like with ICE, said, okay, well, we're gonna get him out, we get these fucking Mexicans out. What it said, National Guard troops, whose possible activation was previously reported by Reuters, would probably not have arrest authorities. Instead, they would support law enforcement officials or free them up to carry out patrol duties, the Defense Department official said. And that's the thing as well, it's like the more it gets used, the more it just becomes normalized and expected. Because I remember it was during like the late 2010s when you had like the T era attacks happening a lot in Europe. It got to the point where it was actually no, I think it still is in the UK, having like armed police at like all the major train stations in like the central London, and then having armed police at a lot of the key kind of what are they called, like points of interest or historical sites, those kinds of things. You just kind of have gun police. And I remember it was like there was video footage of like Belgium and France, where they just kind of, in Belgium they just had like snipers just in the capital, just kind of scoping around, keeping an eye out. And then they had like France, they had like troops just like getting on public transport, going around like strapped up, ready to do what it do. And then that just became a normal, because they were like, oh, it's like so at risk that you just kind of have to justify it. And then that's the same thing that Trump's doing, is basically saying, okay, it's so fucked, the crime rate's so fucked in DC, we're gonna have to, we need the thingy out here. The crime rate's so fucked, we need not even police, the military out here to assist, or the police is getting overwhelmed. And it's one or two situations now, but it's still Trump's first year, man. These things, he's basically let that shit rip. And this has now become the standard, the expectation within it, his rule. This is what the Trump administration also plans to temporarily reassign 120 FBI agents in Washington to nighttime patrols duties as part of Mr. Trump's crackdown. According to people familiar with the matter, most of the agents will be pulled from their regular duties at the FBI's Washington field office, the people said, speaking on the condition of anonymity to describe details of an effort that were not meant to be public. The troop activation in Washington comes after the deployment this summer of nearly 5,000 National Guard troops to LA, with orders to help quell protests that had erupted over immigration raids to protect the federal agents conducting it. Yeah, it was similar with and this thing was especially with stopping protests that can then just lead to powers being expanded through, it'd be the Senate and whatnot, because that's what they did in the UK. In the UK, it was during the lockdown where you had people protesting, and even after, with Extinction Rebellion, with just the oil as well. These guys, where they'll just smash some shit up, break some shit, chain themselves to fences, glue themselves to the floor, doing extreme acts, then just like gave leeway to justify, like, okay, we need further powers, so we can't stop people doing this. With people stopping, like, trying to fight ICE agents and whatnot, then you get justified, okay, we can bring in the military, we can do these things, we can justify, say like, oh, the police in DC, they're struggling with X, Y, Z, okay, pass them quickly, just, pass something through the legislation quick, then that's on the books, and then those things on the books forever. Because that's with how a lot of these things go. They'll have an incident and be like, okay, well, we pass this law in response to it, and then the fucking Patriot Act, man. is the key. That was 2000 on Blood Clot 1. You know, it's 24 odd years from then. And it's like, you know, has that been taken off? Of course not. You know, everyone was saying, like, once Obeezy was in office, Trump was saying, oh no, you know, it's you know, this law's terrible, blah blah blah. As soon as it was his turn in office to renew it. That shit got they of course they continued using it, because the same thing here with in the UK with, what is it, Palestine Action or whatever they're called, or Action for Palestine. I can't remember. One of those protest groups. These guys, I think they ran up on what was it? Airport, I believe. Ran up on an airport, ran up on something else, and then they got classified as a T-era group. So because of that, now anyone that's grabbed up, bro, them guys can be held indefinitely. Like they can be, like they've basically had their rights suspended, and that's a big part of like all these kind of uproars of the people, these you know, resistances being done against the government. Is, you know, laws are getting passed to where their what do you call it? Laws are being passed to where that's something that you know, they're justified in bringing force against. That's been normalized. Everyone's saying, oh, democracy and protesting, but you know, all that is for a certain time, you know, as far as for now, with, you know, with the chaos, where, you know, it basically builds in the chaos and lets them then justify further and further, you know, more extreme actions and resistance wise. But then you know, more and more action resistance wise. You know, but then, you know, once it comes to, okay, that chaos is done, you know, we're bringing in that system, we're gonna formulate order, then all of that's gonna see, you know, it's not gonna happen. So this is the troop activation in Washington comes after the deployment this summer of nearly 5,000 National Guard troops to LA, with orders to help quell protests that had erupted over immigration raids to protect the federal agents conducting them. All but about 250 of those National Guard troops have since been withdrawn. In his first term, Mr. Trump called up National Guard soldiers and federal law enforcement personnel to forcibly clear peaceful protests during BLM protests after the police killing of George Floyd in 2020. Unlike a state's governor, the District of Columbia does not have control over its National Guard, giving the president broad leeway to deploy those troops. So yeah, you know, all these gaps, it's basically just, you know, justifications, and then a lot of these things become normalized. Because as far as for now, it's like certain protest, like before people are, oh, protest, blah blah blah. There's certain protests where it's like, you know, you go and you try and do certain things, you know, you like, as far the UK in the UK, the police can just go choke slam and do whatever the fuck. It's not, you know, right to protest ain't as reinforced. There's a lot of ways in which there's, okay, now you need, well, you're done. You know, then they're just gonna come, they're gonna choke slam you, throw you in the back of the bully van, and then you know, that's a wrap. But then why? Because, you know, now we're in that time. It's, you know, it's not even 10 years ago where, you know, certain protests will happen. Now's a time where, you know, they're coming down with that force. Revelation 12:12, it says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that ye have but a short time. And yeah, with what, you know, DJ Trump's doing, he's you know, smashing the hammer down, coming through with force, because he, you know, he's on the edge. Funny as hell. He's coming down with that force, man. He's doing it utmost. Because he's basically right at the tail end, man. And the elite really want to enact that plan, man. They want to bring this thing together. They want, they want to have it all come together. Isaiah 47:6. I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thy hand, and thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. And yeah, this has been the MO. That's the thing, is it's not even a new spirit really. Esau coming with that force. That's just how he's been, man. That's how the dynamic's been between Jacob and Esau from there. It's been a dynamic of mutual dislike, disdain, whatever. He's not never been a fan, never been a what you call it? Not even like merciful. He's we've never had. There's no love lost between us. That's that's the term I'd use. But then what? It's that lack of mercy. That's been his calling card, man. Coming with that harsh ruthlessness, and these ice raids they're doing. It's that again, and they're saying U.S. citizens are getting grabbed up. They're getting the power to racially profile. It's like, if you look Mexican, look Hispanic, and you speak Spanish, that's justification enough for them to just be okay. They're gonna grab you up, they're gonna stick cuffs on you, and they're gonna deport you, and then we'll look into it after. It says what? And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. And that's really how a lot of these actions are taken. They're basically taken with no regard that Israel is the apple of the Most High's eye, no regard that the Most High is gonna judge them at the end, when all their acts are tallied, they're weighed in the scales, they're going to receive a judgment for that. It says what? Did you remember thy latter end? Therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come upon thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. Yeah, and that's the thing as well, is these actions are being done like assuming these guys are thinking they're gonna establish their kingdom. And they're gonna get to lay it down to a certain extent. Because as I said, when he's about to fill his belly, when he's almost got it all together, that's when the judgment's gonna come. He's gonna have the whole plate. He's just like he's got everything garnished, seasoned. He's just there. He's grabbed the fork. It's like, oh yes, getting ready to get his fill. That's gonna be when the scripts gets flipped on him, and that's a big a big aspect of their mindset. They're thinking that Jake's not even gonna be around. Like that's really what how they desire to have it. They don't want to have to deal with or interact with Jake within the system they're looking to establish. But it's the Most High's fighting for us, so there's no angle from which they can do it, and then everything's gonna be recompensed, gonna be flipped. It says what they shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thy enchantments. Yeah, you deal with witchcraft, you deal with that left hand side. That's how Esau gets down. That's why you see worships himself. That's why he wants to be a power unto himself. was say 2 Thessalonians 1:6, seeing it's a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. And yeah, that's the thing is Esau's coming down with a camera. He's coming down with that harshness, and he's completely um, you know fulfilling his role, that vengeful role against Jake. But then what, it's a righteous thing to recompense, to get um, uh, judgment, vengeance against Esau. So what does that mean, man? James 2:13, for he shall have judgment without mercy that have showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment. Yeah, judgment without mercy. That's the thing is, all this, harshness we're seeing, the horns coming out, man, on Esau. That's beautiful. The thing that's really beautiful is because you're still, especially among Jake, you're still gonna have Jake that are gonna be like, nah, they still wanna go hand in hand with the system, and that's gonna be to their demise, man. Gonna be to their doom. Because as far as for them, they can't even get that. This guy's an enemy. He don't love you, and he never will. You're as far as within his system, they're gonna find out. Oh, you really didn't like us. You have all these BLMers where they'll be online anytime where some white celebrity does something. They'll be like, oh, why would you do that? In tears, screaming, saying, oh no, you gotta be better. Not realizing that, when just as you're seeing, when the shackles on Twitter got the shackles on Twitter got loosened, what have you had? You had huge upsurges in, people, racist rhetoric or whatever as they say. With reform coming out, you got a lot of these people saying, get him out. They were obviously saying, but they were just saying it in the dark, because why? If, they say them things online or whatnot, then they'll get banned off Twitter. But since they ain't gonna get banned, they'll just be like, yes, all these fucking these brands, these blacks or whatever, they come over, they just do this, setting up this and that. These things are coming out because why? That's been in their nature. That's the nature of the dynamic between Jacob and Esau as well. These nations are Esau and Jake, that mutual disdain, man, that dislike, that's basically been the bedrock of their relationship. And you can have it play out fully, and then who the Most High's backing is going to be made plain, man. And spoiler alert, it's not Esau. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom.